We're thundering towards the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship, our third round of 9 for 2024 for Mission King of the Baggers. This round is MotoAmerica Superbikes at Road Atlanta in Brazelton, Georgia, from the awesome Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Greg Weiss, standing alongside two-time national champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, we came to Road Atlanta, and a race broke out in Mission King of the Baggers, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, crazy race. Remember, Greg, this is their third round. We've seen him at Daytona. We've seen him at COTA. But there's two guys that continue to find their way to the front, and that's Kyle Wyman and Troy Herfoss.
Did you get to see race one? Well, here's how it unfolded.
Yeah, right off the bat yesterday, Troy Herfoss, again, another new track for him to learn. He started on pole, but Kyle Wyman took to the front quickly. As you can see, the defending champ, Hayden Gillim, back there in third. Tyler O'Hara was also part of this lead group. Four baggers going at it here. It was Troy Herfoss, though, that would pass Kyle Wyman with about 2 laps to go. And you can see this battle raging for third between O'Hara and Gillim. Gillim went down the inside, and in this particular case, went down the outside. But it was this guy, number 17, Troy Herfoss, coming to Road Atlanta again, first time in winning race one.
Unbelievable for the Australian to show up after winning 3 Australian Superbike championships and getting on these motorcycles. Look, there's 13 races to go, Jay, but here's how this championship works out. I mean, there's only been a handful of points in these 5 races, and so far these two have won them all.
Yeah, and the momentum that each one of these guys have keeps swinging back to the other guy, and this is going to continue to put pressure on them and their teams to make sure that they finish every race.
All right, Road Atlanta, let's take a look at the Yamaha track map, Jay. It's 2.5 miles long, and it's fun.
It's a great track here at Road Atlanta. One of the riders' favorites to go down into a fast turn one up a steep hill. That 2, 3, 4, very technical section, especially on these heavy bikes, down through those famous S's through to turn 5. When we get to turn 7, that's where the horsepower comes out. Down into turn 10, down that back straightaway, a lot of heavy braking there. A lot of action down into turn 12 as well. And then we have the checkered flag waiting for whoever gets out of that turn first.
I can't wait to get after it here in Mission King of the Baggers. Hey, your number 1 plate, your national champion, got his first podium yesterday. He's got a lot of ground to make up if he wants to hold on to that number 1 plate.
We're going to keep the coverage going here for you at the racetrack as we're looking down out the window at the grid for the Mission King of the Baggers. The crews have all walked away now, and the riders are out there on their own getting ready for the warm-up lap, Roger.
Yeah, and I love the look of the clear visors. You see Hayden Gillim there, number 1 on the number 1 bike. You can just see the focus whenever they have those clear visors, and they're going to get a really good look at this track, this lap, and they haven't seen turn 1 yet, and they're going to be okay to see if there's any puddles or not as they go through this whole track. You can see those seams. Those seams can hold a little bit of water.
As you watch him come up over the hill, that's Kyle Wyman on the number 33, Troy Herfoss, that number 17 Indian there. He did not leave with the rest of the group.
Yeah, I don't know, just was maybe waiting to watch a few other guys maybe go through there. And for him, see, this is the track. See where it's really wet from 4 all the way down to 5 there. You're going to have to have your bike straight up and down through there. If you're leaned over on through there, you're going to go for a little ride like JD Beach did.
Yeah, we saw him have that issue, be able to get back up and keep going, but the track now much drier than it was just a few moments ago, and it's going to continue to dry out as this race continues to progress. We're going to step away and let Greg and Jason take it from here. We'll talk to you soon.
Mission King of the Baggers coverage is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. By Mission Foods, the world's leading brand for tortillas and wraps. And by Drag Specialties, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket parts and accessories for Harley-Davidson and custom V-twin motorcycles.
Back at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for the grid as Troy Herfoss, Bobby Fong, and Kyle Wyman make up row number 1.
We're going to have Hayden Gillim, O'Hara, and James Rispoli outside of row 2. Then we got Landers, Flinders, Travis Wyman, Corey West, and Jake Lewis.
Boy, Jason, I think the big question mark for us at this point, we have a drying racetrack, so there's still some moisture on the racetrack and a couple areas where there's a little bit of water towards the inside or outside of the racetrack. Is what are these riders going to be on? in terms of their tires. So normally we see slick tires, but there's also rain tires available if MotoAmerica declared that this is a wet race. So we're going to keep an eye on that as we're getting mixed reports down there. We did see the factory Indian motorcycles changing tires on the grid a moment ago. 8 laps scheduled for this race. It's Mission King of the Baggers, race number 2 for Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. The lights are on. They're gone and we're away racing, and Bobby Fong with a horrible start again. But Troy Herfoss gets a good one.
I mean, he is dead last as Bobby Fong almost going in turn 1. And Greg, look how dry it is. I think you just have to be on slicks right now. It's going to be a little bit bad in a couple spots, but I think the bottom of the hill is the worst spot. But these big heavy bikes are going to put a lot of stress on rain tires at this point. And it looks like Hayden Gillum is our lead rider as they come down the hill. Hayden Gillum, luckily too, just got off a superbike, so he knows the track conditions. And see, it's wet right there a little bit, but it's going to be dry for the majority of the track. And Herfoss is in second place right now.
Yeah, and the report that we get from Dunlop is only the Indians are on slicks, so we got to really double check that to make sure that that is the case, because that would mean Herfoss is on slicks and Hayden Gillum is not.
Yeah.
Now you can see with Hayden Gillum, it looks like there's some traction on there.
You got to be on slicks right now, in my opinion. I think that if you're on anything but, you can see how dry the track is. Hayden's already looking for dry line or wet pavement to cool the tires, and it was on the left-hand side there.
So Troy Herfoss leads the way, and you can see too with Hayden Gillum trying to find that water.
Did you see who's in 4th there, Greg, coming down the hill? It's our podium finisher from New Jersey, Max Flinders, who I think fell off his superbike, has got himself into 4th, but Troy Herfoss is going to lead the way out of the last corner. And if indeed he is on the tires that we think he's on, this is a no-brainer for him. And now Max Flinders finds himself going up the inside of the factory Harley-Davidson of Kyle Wyman. As they come down this front straightaway, Max Flinders takes over 3rd down into turn 1.
Wow. Coming off of a podium in the final race of the season at New Jersey last year, Max Flinders, the 88, the crowd favorite, puts himself in a great position on that Mad Monkey Motorsports Indian Challenger. Boy, and the 88 is really making a name for himself in this class. Incredible. Look at Flinders go, JP.
Yeah, and this is where there's only a couple spots. You see how the bike's backing in and around just there like it did on Max? That's because of the weight of the bike and the softness of those Dunlop reins. But the 88 has found conditions that he likes, and they're sketchy conditions, and this guy rides so well under those, as Troy Herfoss has literally split from the rest of the field. And that's experience, Greg, on that warm-up lap. But look, trying to find water and getting all kinds of loose and sideways is Hayden Gillum. Max Flinders has got Hayden Gillum in his gun sights, and you can see behind them you got Kyle Wyman and Tyler O'Hara, who has displaced James Rispoli, who did come across the line in 5th, but I didn't see James in that shot at all.
All right, let's get to the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Hannah Lopa. Now, Hannah, tires are a huge issue in this race. What do you know?
They have been, and walking up and down that grid, I was checking out the tires. There's warmers on a lot of them, but I checked in with our friends at Dunlop, and you are correct. The only 2 riders in the entire field right now on slicks are Troy Herfoss and Tyler O'Hara. And I checked with our friends at Dunlop, and they said they do recommend that riders do their sighting lap in these mixed conditions on those slicks and then decide if they want to put on the reins. And that is exactly what both of those riders did. So they went out, took their sighting laps, pulled up to their grid spots, and there was no drama. They just put some warmers on and then headed out for the race.
Wow, for Troy Herfoss, it's really working out, but for the rest of the field, except for Max Flinders, it's not. So yeah. Troy Herfoss, he's definitely looking for places that are dry on the racetrack, but now it looks like Max Flinders all over the back of the number 1 of Hayden Gillum.
And you can see Tyler O'Hara is right there as well. The 2 factory Harleys. And Greg, honestly, I'm very puzzled by the decision of a lot of these riders. I know it's wet at the bottom of the S's, but that is it. That's really the only place. And with the amount of heat that's going to go through these tires on these big heavy bikes. You can just see how loose the bike is for Hayden Gillum. Max Flinders has pace, as does Tyler O'Hara on the 29. See the big black marks?
That was sideways on the gas, and that's the second black mark he left coming out of turn number 7 for the number 1. But he's going to lose drive on that, and so Tyler O'Hara, who Hannah says is on those slick tires, goes around these two that are battling it out as Flinders trying to find a good line around Hayden Gillum, but we know that Gillum is so strong into 10A, 10B from yesterday's race. But with the tires on these two bikes, we should see Tyler O'Hara disappearing off into the distance. And boy, you know, as Flinders trying to go side by side, not a lot of room with those bags on him.
There's not a lot of room, and Max has pace, but he's having to struggle getting by. And you saw the factory horsepower of O'Hara just ride right by Gillum. And Max even tried to get in the draft of that Indian, and it just didn't look like he had it underneath him to go with him.
And I'm not sure that everybody in this field took the recommendation that Hannah told us. Look at the black marks that Hayden Gillum continues to leave
thing's gonna be
all over this racetrack.
But Greg, in 2 laps, that thing's going to be even more destroyed than it already is. So if you're Max Flinders, if you can somehow kind of keep up but not overuse that tire,
good point.
You might have something for Gillum late. I mean, when he comes out of the right-hander onto the back straightaway and he lights it up as much as he is, he's just peeling rubber off that tire. And if Flinders can be a little bit safe with that, he'll be okay. This is Flinders having a look coming down that hill. The 88 would love nothing more than to get back on that podium. You see him run through some water there on the inside of the curbing and then miss a gear on his upshift. See him looking down, just missed a gear, but he's got things back under control. As you see him on the right-hand side of your screen, they're going to go through here out of turn 7. This is where Hayden's been lighting that thing up. Both guys are. You can see Hayden shaking his head. He knows. I mean, these guys both know. If you weren't on slicks, it was a wrong choice, obviously.
And really, Jason, you know, we are 6 races into this championship, and looking at Kyle Wyman, it's been nothing but Herfoss and Wyman. This could be the race that might determine this championship, as up the inside goes the 88 of Flinders, and he's going to take over position from your reigning national champion. What a ride from Max.
Love it, and he's just riding that thing loose right now. But he, like I said, he has some pace. That thing was sideways, Greg, as they came up over the ridge at 150 plus mile an hour. And Flinders is just letting that bike roll through the corners, taking it a little easier on the Dunlop rubber that he has underneath him. And with 4 to go, Flinders finds himself with a spot and a chance to get back up on this podium once again.
Boy, Max Flinders just enjoying these inclement conditions as he goes sideways. It doesn't really seem to bother him a whole bunch.
It's New Jersey all over for me again. I'm having little mini heart attacks up here in the booth. And for Max, this is just the way he likes to ride that bike. In the background, you can see Kyle Wyman trying to close that gap down. He was some 7/10 quicker than Gillum on the last lap, but this guy is so far out in front, he doesn't even care. And now, Greg, he's even got the fastest split through the first sector. And that's with water on the ground still. Hannah.
And Jason, the session for them this morning was obviously downpouring, so the track was much different than it is right now. For Herfoss, it was good to get some laps on the bagger in the rain. He said they weren't able to try any changes from yesterday, though, so if the race this afternoon was dry, which it is now, they're running the same exact setup that they ran in the dry yesterday.
Yeah, that's great reporting, Hannah, because the thing is the track was 3/4 dry, Greg, and that's what I'm not understanding and why so many made the decision to stay on that race rubber, because Troy Herfoss right now is on a faster lap than he's done the whole race. He's gone 37.5 already, and we still have 4 laps to go, keep in mind. So the other thing that you have to think about right now is the championship. I mean, look how many people Herfoss has right now between him and Kyle Wyman. We've seen these guys trade wins all year. Kyle has given up the minimum amount of points at 10. Really, he's finished second in all the other races. But now this is going to be a big hit for the Factory Indian team. What a call and what an effort for that whole team down there with their 2 riders first and second.
And keep in mind, we're a 1-bike championship here in Mission King of the Baggers. So in the situation where if you're going to run slicks even when it's wet and they know that the pace is going to be slower, oftentimes they're going to soften the bike up. So it was really a huge decision. It wasn't just we're going to change tires. They really had to think ahead and say, how are we going to set this motorcycle up? I mean, Herfoss goes 36.6, Jason. He qualified at a 28.5. So they're still 8 seconds off their pace as Hayden Gillum is not giving up. He's still sending. Oh, Max.
Man. Max.
Ay.
Oh my gosh. How was that even saved? I mean, that is so sideways.
That is 620 pounds of long wheelbase plus.
It's almost can't watch. You know, it's like he just started to have a little bit of a gap, as you're saying. Gilliam's coming back on him, and it was like he heard you.
Yeah, Max Flinders. Here's another look at it.
This is past the point of anywhere you'd want to be coming down these S's, and he saves it. And you got to think, Greg, the thing that probably saves him is the weight. The weight of that bike.
No question about it.
Is obviously what saves him there. So that was a big one.
No electronics on these big Mission King of the Baggers motorcycles, as this is the battle for the podium. And as I was mentioning, the #1 plate of Hayden Gillim on that Revzilla Motul Vance and Hines Harley Davidson doesn't want to give up. Neither does Max Flinders, though, on the 88 Mad Monkey Motorsports Indian Challenger. And boy, oh boy, Max sure likes it when it's loose and out of control.
How do you think Hayden's view of that was going down there just then?
I can't. That's
right.
Yeah.
I mean, that must have been something to see. I bet Hayden went, uh-oh, and then he looks up and sees the guy still upright. The 88's got 2 more laps of this. And I'm sure everybody in his pit are probably doing the same thing I'm doing up here in the booth.
Wow, Max magic here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Can he hold on with a little under 2 laps to go? And here's the section of racetrack he's getting to where he sent it sideways a moment ago. My guess is it's not going to be as much throttle.
It's going to be safer, I promise you. Yeah, there you go.
Attaboy.
There, we all feel better now. But Max just riding the wheels out of this Indian. I love seeing it. And obviously, last year when he put it on the podium at Jersey, it was a fan favorite moment for everybody. And I know he just came off of an accident in the Superbike race earlier today, and he's doing a good job right now, Greg, and he's got about 1 lap and 3/4 to go.
Yeah, he's a full-blown racer. Even an incident in Steel Commander Superbike doesn't care. He does every time out of turn number 7. I mean, he's leaving black marks all over this racetrack. I'm sure Dunlop's going to want to look at his rear tire. I'm talking about Hayden Gillim when this is done, because if there's one person that is absolutely abusing that rear rain tire that Gillim has on that bike, he is the man. Is he going for it under braking? And you can see, you know, Jay,
that's a test right there.
It is a test because it's a function of a couple things. One, the suspension a little bit softer because of the rain tires. Plus, that rain tire is just a lot, it's not quite as stiff in the carcass, so it moves around a lot more. But here we go. We're going to the final lap. The white flag flies. This is for the final step on the podium.
You see that? A gear.
Yeah, can Max Flinders hold on? Troy Herfoss has got a 13-second lead over Tyler O'Hara, who's another 13 seconds up the road from this battle.
Gillim's losing the front, too. Like, he literally just lost the front there. So he's losing the front, he's losing the rear, he's hitting puddles.
He's just dirt tracking it everywhere. Just all throttle control for Hayden Gillim. Trying to get that motorcycle back and forth, that road glide. This is an Indian Challenger versus a Harley-Davidson road glide for the final step on the podium. Who would have thought that Max Flinders would put himself in a position once again to find a podium?
He's got to be absolutely as smooth as he can in these next 2 corners and not allow Hayden to get within about 2 or 3 bike lengths of him in the braking zone in turn 10. If Max can get out of turn 7 clean and Hayden spins that big Harley up at all, that's going to give Max a little bit of breathing room he's going to need when they get to the braking zone. As you look at Herfoss waving to the crowd, the easiest win that he's going to have all year as he comes up over the top of the hill, willieing that Indian.
And the points he's going to gain too over Kyle Wyman, pretty big. Here he comes, wheel in the air for the 17, and Troy Herfoss from Australia takes another victory in Mission King of the Baggers. And down the hill comes his teammate Tyler O'Hara as we await the battle between the 8 and the number 1. The checkered flag flies for Tyler O'Hara. And what about that battle for 3rd? Here it comes over the hill with a huge gap is Max Flinders. 1 more corner to navigate, and he's going to do it again from the last race of the year to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. And Max Flinders, another podium, 3rd place. Incredible. How do you like that? Mad Monkey Motorsports Indian Challenger and Jason Pridmore. Indian Motorcycles going to go 1, 2, 3. You could have predicted Indian going Herfoss, O'Hara, and Bobby Fong. I mean, they only have 4 motorcycles in the field, and they go 1, 2, 3, and they get it done. with Max Flinders. Let's talk to Troy Herfoss on the other side of this commercial break and find out about that tire choice and what a move it was.
You check out Max Flinders, Roger, as he came past our camera. You could hear him inside of his helmet yelling.
You just see the emotion. Look, I mean, you would think he won the race, but for Max, I don't know what it is. Sometimes when the tracks are, and it's basically dry. It's not even that wet. You can't really say it was a wet race, but whatever he did before this race, he needs to write that down and be sure he does that before every other race. Crashed in the Superbike race. I didn't even know if he was going to be. I came in the booth and asked if Max was even on the grid. And, man, just watching him ride it, I mean, he was riding the wheels off that thing and sliding it rear end, front end. And, man, it was fun to watch. Scary to watch, but fun.
It was a save of a lifetime for him, too. As you now take a look at Troy Herfoss, our race winner, and as he came down through turn 10A and 10B, and we saw him waving to the fans, I thought we had missed him taking the checkered flag. He was celebrating on that last lap already.
Yeah, he had, you know, probably a 15-second lead at that point, so he knew if you make it up that hill, you could coaster down to the start-finish line. But him and his crew, the Indian guys, made the right call there with the slick tires, and it paid off.
Yes, it really gave him and Tyler O'Hara a huge advantage over the rest of the field. They were able to just ride their own race, bring home some solid points for S&S and the whole Indian Motorcycles team. We're going to go back next door to Greg White and Jason Pridmore.
Mission King of the Baggers coverage is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. By Mission Foods, the world's leading brand for tortillas and wraps. And by Drag Specialties, an industry-leading distributor of aftermarket parts and accessories for Harley-Davidson and custom V-twin motorcycles.
Domination from Troy Herfoss. Not just the right tire choice. I mean, he would have been right up front no matter what was going on. But factory S&S Indian Motorcycles go 1-2 on the box. Teammates getting it done. And a 13-second margin of victory as Tyler O'Hara had to take a little bit more time to work his way through the field. Let's take a look at those results. And yeah, your eyes do not deceive you. It's Herfoss, O'Hara, and Max Flinders who beats Hayden Gillum. And Gillum was absolutely sliding sideways everywhere. Kyle Wyman back in 5th place. This might be ramifications for the championship long term. Corey West, Jake Lewis, Travis Wyman, and James Rispoli a minute and 7 back. Must have been on those rain tires on a drying track. Here's Max Flinders coming in to get congratulations from everybody. He does it again, Jay. What was it, 6 months ago? 7 months ago?
Yeah, crazy.
But let's go down to Hanover as our winner.
For Troy Herfoss, his 3rd victory of the season. Troy, you guys took a risk there with the slicks. How crucial was that in terms of championship points this weekend?
Yeah, it's if you don't win nothing big without taking risk, and I was hoping to wait until later in the year before we start having races like this where it's a bit of luck comes into it. But man, the Indian Challenger worked so good, and I felt good. The track was dry. It was just hard to tell yourself that. But it's credit to the team. And, hey, Indian 1, 2, 3. So good for Tyler. And Max Flinders here. He's a crowd favourite, and I'm so happy for him.
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, Troy. Wait till Troy sees that race. He's a crowd favorite, all right. But, wow, the display of riding skill Max Flinders was able to put on was pretty incredible.
Oh, my God.
There's Max.
From that cross up. I thought you were
still a little banged up from that previous race, the Steel Commander Superbike.
Though. Always smiling. I love it.
I think so far the biggest save of the year goes to him. Let's go to Hannah.
Congratulations being exchanged by teammates. Tyler O'Hara, 2nd place today. Once you were able to kind of navigate your way to the front, tell us about the conditions you were feeling with those slicks underneath you on the track.
Yeah, it was a little bit scary there the first couple laps, to be honest. All the way going down the hill, 3 and 4, hydroplaning. Just had to figure out how to short shift and just get back to my breathing and just be present. And this whole team, S&S Cycles, Indian Motorcycle, is such an amazing team. I gave them a little extra work on Friday. I totaled the bike and they had to stay all night and fix it. So this one's for my team. Everybody that supports us, Progressive, Mission Foods, Parts Unlimited Drag Specialties, my wife back at home. All you fans, thank you for staying out here today in the rain. We really appreciate it. Hats off to Troy. He was ripping those first couple laps, and after that, I was just kind of managing.
Congrats to Tyler O'Hara, second place. And rounding out your podium is Max Flinders, the guy everyone is so happy to root for. You can hear the excitement of this crowd down here. Max, you had a really big moment out there. Take me through it, how you're able to save that.
Honestly, I have no idea how I saved that. I was feeling really good, but I was watching Gillum slide. I was sliding. I was like, that means we're both doing the same thing. I thought I had a bit of a run on him, and I was coming through the S's, and the thing went really sideways. Thanks to my dad for putting me in flat track when I was a kid, because that helped a lot. But, oh, my God, thank you so much to the Mad Monkey Motorsports team. This bike was phenomenal. This weekend's been phenomenal. The crowd here has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for staying through all this rain. Woo, yeah!
The sun is out for the yellow number 88 motorcycle of Max Flinders, guys.
Incredible for Max Flinders. That second podium for him, and man, he gets it done early on in this season. And of course, he is still struggling a little bit from the Superbike race.
He don't look like he's struggling anymore.
Yeah, you know what? It's not a win in terms of a win, but it's a win for him as he makes his way to the fans. We'll be back with more.
We gotta get you up with your trophy, man.
Okay, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Overheard on the microphone Max saying that he was going to need a hand to get up to the podium. You see him hobbling along. Roger, you said it when we were in here last that you weren't sure if Max was going to make it out there to the grid, the incident that he had at the end of that Superbike race. But can you believe in the condition that he's in, watching him now, he was able to ride that race?
Yeah, I bet he probably thought about maybe not going out with the conditions tricky, and I bet he's glad he is now as he's getting a ride from Troy up to the podium. And man, we talk about the emotion on Max, and then you could see his parents on camera as well, the emotion that they had. And Max is people talk about a privateer. Max is a true privateer for years. He's drove the rig, he's worked on it. He's, doesn't have the resources as a lot of the other teams do, and he comes out there, even when the odds are against him, has a smile on his face and tries his best.
Troy doesn't skip leg day, carrying Max up the steps on his back to make sure that he gets to his spot on the podium. This is a great celebration that these fans are getting to enjoy down there in the paddock area. If you're ever at one of these MotoAmerica races, make sure you make your way over and you can see and hear all of this in person yourself at all of the stops around the country throughout the season. Let's go back next door to Greg and Jason.
Welcome back to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta here in Brazelton, Georgia, as Max Flinders needs some assistance to get up to the podium after his Steel Commander Superbike get off. Let's take a look at those championship point standings with Kyle Wyman finishing in 5th and Herfoss and Wyman getting after it. How is this whole thing going to shape up, JP? And it's 9 points now, advantage for Herfoss.
Yeah, and you can see James Rispoli there, back there, and Hayden Gillum. This was an important race for Gillum, so he's going to be fifth in the points now, but Max Flinders, our big mover, up to 6th in the championship.
Well, we certainly hope that you enjoyed our coverage. For Hannah and Jason, I'm Greg. See you soon.